Good morning, students. In part 5 of this chapter, I will explain the limitations of the civil disobedience movement. This movement was started by Gandhiji on 6 April 1930 and came to an end in 1931. A large number of people participated in it, but still there were some groups who were lukewarm in their response to the civil disobedience movement, and out of them one such group was of the untouchables. From 1930s, untouchables started to call themselves Dalits or oppressed. They were alienated from the civil disobedience movement because Congress had ignored the Dalits for fear of offending the Sanatanis, the conservative high caste Hindus. Congress party ignored the interest of Dalits because it thought if it would support to the interest of the Dalits, then the high caste Hindus would be annoyed. But Mahatma Gandhi thought that if Dalits would not participate in movement, then Swaraj would not come for 100 years. He called Dalits as Harijans. Harijans mean children of God. He organized a satyagraha to secure their entry into temples and access to public wells, tanks, roads, and schools. And to give importance to the worker of sweeper, he himself cleaned toilets and persuaded upper caste to change their heart and give up the sin of untouchability. But the Dalits thought that there could be no improvement in their condition until they get some political powers. So they demanded for separate electorate. Dalit participation in the civil disobedience movement was therefore limited, particularly in the Maharashtra and Nagpur region, where their organization was quite strong. In other parts of country, Dalits participated in the civil disobedience movement, but in the areas like Maharashtra and Nagpur, where their organization was quite strong, Dalits didn't participate in that movement. Dalits were led by Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar. In 1930, he set up one association, Depressed Class Association. And when Gandhiji went to England to participate in Second Round Table Conference, there he clashed with Gandhiji over the question of separate electorate for Dalits. The British government conceded Ambedkar's demand because the policy of the Britishers was divide and rule, so Britishers accepted this demand. But Mahatma Gandhi started a fast unto death. He thought that separate electorate for Dalits would slow down the process of their integration into the society. Finally, in 1932, Pune Pact was signed between Mahatma Gandhi and Ambedkar. It gave the depressed classes reserved seats in provincial and central legislative councils. After Dalits, second was wedge between Hindus and Muslims. After the decline of the non-cooperation Khilafat movement, a large section of Muslims felt alienated from the Congress. Actually, from 1920s, the Congress party seemed to be more close with Hindu religious nationalist groups like the Hindu Mahasabha. The Muslims thought that the Congress party always accept the ideas of Hindu Mahasabha. How would they highlight their own issues of the Muslims? As a relation between the Hindus and Muslims worsened, each community organized a religious procession with militant fervor. At many places, Hindu-Muslim clashes and riots occurred, and every riot deepened the distance between the two communities. Then some Muslim leaders like Jinnah demanded for separate electorate for the Muslims. They also said that if their demand would not be accepted, then they would not participate in the civil disobedience movement. And many leaders, Muslim leaders and intellectuals, expressed their concern about the status of Muslim as a minority within India. They feared that the culture and identity of minorities would be submerged under the domination of a Hindu majority. They said that if India would be independent, even then, in independent India, the identity of the Muslims would be submerged because India was a country of Hindus, where there was majority of Hindus. And third is non-participation of non-participation of industrial workers. The industrial workers didn't participate in the movement except Nagpur region. This was because the industrialists were supporting the movement in large numbers. This was because industrialists were supporting the movement and the Congress was reluctant to include workers' demand as part of the movement. Yes. Civil disobedience movement was financially supported by the industrialists, and the interest of the industrialist and the industrial workers were opposite to each other. The Congress party didn't want to lose the support of the industrialist, so it was not interested to include workers' demands as part of their movement. So these were the three limitations of the civil disobedience movement. Problem of depressed classes. They felt alienated due to Hindu Mahasabha, wedged between Hindus and Muslims. They demanded for separate electorate. At many places, militant fervor occurred. Hindu-Muslim clashes were there. So these riots deepened the distance between the two communities. Non-participation of industrial workers. Workers didn't participate at large scale. Only in one region they participated in large number. That was Nagpur region. But in other parts, they didn't participate at large scale. Next is sense of collective belonging. Nationalism spreads when people begin to believe that they all are part of the same nation. Yes. Which factors were responsible for developing the sense of nationalism? Factors which promoted the sense of nationalism. In the Indians. What is nationalism? The feeling of love and pride for one's own country is known as nationalism. Which factors were responsible? The first was united struggle. The Hindus and Muslims collectively participated in struggle against the Britishers. This united struggle was the most important factor for arousing the sense of nationalism. When Rowlatt Act was passed, at that time Hindus Muslims participated to protest against it. When Simon Commission came to India, Muslim League and Congress both participated. They protested. They showed black flags. So united struggle helped to arouse the sense of nationalism among the Indians. Second, cultural processes. A variety of cultural processes through which nationalism captured people's imagination. History and fiction. Fiction means imaginary stories, history and fiction, folklore and songs, popular prints and symbols all played a part in the making of nationalism. Which cultural processes played important role in making of nationalism? History and fiction means people started to talk about the history of India, glorious past of India. Folklore and songs, people started to collect songs, uh, uh, dances, poems, which could develop the feeling of nationalism among Indians. Popular prints and symbols. Through all these methods, the feeling of nationalism was developed. Next is Bharat Mata. It was in the 20th century, with the growth of nationalism, that the identity of India came to be visually associated with the image of Bharat Mata. India was presented in the form of female figure. Here you can see Bharat Mata. The mother figure here is shown as dispensing learning, food and clothing. The mala in one hand emphasizes her ascetic quality. Ascetic means saint quality. She has 4 hands. From her one hand she is giving clothes, from the other food, and from third one learning. The image was first created by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. In 1870s, he wrote Vande Mataram as a hymn to motherland. Who wrote Vande Mataram? Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Later it was included in his novel Anand Math, which was later sung during the Swadeshi movement. Later, Abanindranath Tagore painted his famous image of Bharat Mata. This image was painted by Abanindranath Tagore. In this picture, it is shown that she is calm, composed, divine and spiritual. Not only this, there was also figure of Bharat Mata painted with elephant and lion. Here she is shown with a Trishul standing beside a lion and an elephant. Lion and elephant both are symbols of power and authority. Means not only ascetic image of Bharat Mata was painted, image with powerful animals is also painted to show that Bharat Mata is not weak. Next is revival of Indian folklore. In the late 19th century, nationalists began recording folk tales sung by bards, and they toured village to village for collecting those songs and legends. This was done to promote the traditional culture that had been corrupted and damaged by Western forces. Due to the effect of the Western forces, the Indians were forgetting their own culture. Then Indian leaders took the responsibility to promote their own culture, and this was done by them by moving from village to village, by collecting folk songs and legends. It was essential to preserve this folk tradition in order to discover one's national identity. In Bengal, Rabindranath Tagore himself began collecting ballads, nursery rhymes and myths, and led the movement for folk revival. In Madras, Natesh Shastri published a massive 4-volume collection 4 volume mean there were 4 books of Tamil folk tales, the folklore of southern India. He believed that folklore was national literature. It was the most trustworthy manifestation of people's real thoughts and characteristics. Next, icons and symbols. Icons and symbols. Icons and symbols played important role in unifying people and inspiring in them a feeling of nationalism. During Swadeshi movement in Bengal, a tricolor flag, red, green and yellow, was designed. During Swadeshi movement in Bengal, a tricolor flag was designed. Which were the 3 colors in it? Red, green and yellow. It had 8 lotuses representing 8 provinces of the British India and a crescent moon representing Hindus and Muslims. And by 1921, Gandhiji designed the Swaraj flag. It was again tricolor, but this time there were red, green and white colors. During Swadeshi movement in Bengal in 1905, there were 3 colors in flag, red, green and yellow. But Gandhiji designed a new flag in which there were red, green and white colors and had a spinning wheel in the center representing the Gandhian ideal of self-help. Carrying the flag, holding it aloft during marches became a symbol of defiance. So icons and symbols also played important role in developing the feeling of nationalism. Next, reinterpretation of history. Reinterpretation of Indian history. The British saw Indians as backward and primitive. Primitive mean old, incapable of governing themselves. British had idea that Indians were uneducated, primitive. They had no sense of governing themselves. In response of it, Indians began looking into the past to discover India's great achievements. Many Indian leaders thought it their responsibility to look into the past and to tell people about their glorious history. They wrote about the glorious development in ancient times when art and architecture, science and mathematics, religion and culture, law, philosophy, craft and trade had flourished. The writers wrote about Aryabhatta and Rahmahir, who played very important role in Indian history. They also talked about Sushruta and Chark, who were the great doctors of previous time. The nationalist historians urged the readers to take pride in India's great achievements in the past and struggle to change the miserable conditions of life under British rule. By all these methods, the feeling of nationalism was developed among Indians. First, united struggle. Hindus and Muslims participated unitedly in any struggle which were launched by the Indians against the British. Second, cultural processes like history, fiction, folklore, songs, popular prints and symbols all played a part in making of nationalism. Bharat Mata. The image of Bharat Mata was created by Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay and later it was painted by Abanindranath Tagore. It was done to give abstract idea a concrete form so that Indians could feel that they have to protect their motherland. Revival of Indian folklore, songs, dances, poems, ballads, all these were collected, and Natesh Shastri wrote a 4-volume collection, The Folklore of Southern India, so that people could read them and could feel something good about their own culture. Icons and symbols. In it you can tell about national flag created during the time of Swadeshi movement and by Gandhiji in 1921. Reinterpretation of Indian history. The Britishers termed to Indians as backward, primitive, barbaric. In response of it, many of the Indian writers started to write about the glorious past of India. They wrote about the work of Aryabhatta, Brahmi, Sushruta Chak, and about their importance and contribution which they gave to human society. That's all about this chapter. Thank you.